Please join us in welcoming Los Altos Police Chief Angela Averiett this morning. Thank you for spending some time with us today, Chief. Chief Averiett will begin with the presentation, but first I'd like to introduce our guest. Police Chief Averiett joined the city on August 1st, 2022, bringing more than 25 years of experience in law enforcement. Immediately before joining the city, she was deputy chief of the BART Police Department, which has 200 officers and is responsible for ensuring the safety of both the BART system and its some 400,000 daily riders. Prior to her tenure at BART, she spent many years with the Hayward Police Department, rising from records clerk to lieutenant, and served in the patrol and traffic divisions and the internal affairs, community policing, and special duty, that is gang units. Chief Averiett was also team leader for critical incident stress management and peer support, as well as assistant team leader for the crisis, that is hostage negotiations unit. Chief Averiett holds a bachelor's degree in leadership and organizational studies from St. Mary's College in Moraga, California. She also graduated from the Alameda County Leadership Academy and the Los Angeles Police Department Leadership Academy. She currently serves on a number of community, civic, and professional organizations, including the California Association of Hostage Negotiators, Peace Officer Standards and Training, and AB 392 Use of Force Guidelines Committee, and Women Leadership in Law Enforcement. Okay, over to you, Chief Averiett, for your presentation.
Thank you, Marie, and good morning, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. I just have one rule for today, and that is to please not make me cry. Because I'm super excited to be here, but I'm also very sad to be leaving, which I will get into in just a minute. But thank you for inviting me here today, and I hope that after the presentation is done, and I can answer any lingering questions that you may have. And Joe, if you can pull up the PowerPoint. Perfect. And if you can go to the next slide. All right, so let me kick everything off with the elephant in the room. Why am I leaving? Well, let me start with what it is not. What it is not is I'm not disgruntled, unhappy, running from a scandal. It has nothing to do with my commute, although my commute is going to be a little better. It has everything to do with my heart. And I have always had a heart of service. And I have absolutely loved serving here in Los Altos. I can say that it's been my dream job. This opportunity to go to the San Leandro Police Department was very unexpected and kind of literally came out of nowhere. But I decided to accept the opportunity because my heart felt like I needed to serve another community that is facing many complex challenges. That is why I got into police work. I'm a problem solver, and I felt like it was time for me to serve in a different community that has different challenges. What I can also say about it is it was a very tough decision because I was not looking to leave. Many of you may know or may not know that last year I had applied for the Oakland Police Department. And again, it wasn't because of some specific reason that I was trying to leave. It was more that my heart was feeling like that city had issues that I felt that I would be able to help solve. That's really more of what it's about is my heart of service. And I'm really going to miss serving in Los Altos. It's been a fantastic journey. I have learned and grown so much, and I appreciate every single person in this Zoom room right now because you all have been very supportive and have graciously welcomed me into the community. So I just want to say thank you very much. All right, we can go to the next slide. Okay, so I'm sure everyone has questions about our automated license plate readers. Well, we went live with the cameras on March 1st. To date, we only have 8 cameras installed, and part of the reason why the rest of the cameras are not up yet is because of the fire that was on El Camino, excuse me, last year. Due to the road closure, some of the cameras were delayed in being installed. In addition, some of the cameras that were supposed to be placed along Foothill, we were going through the permitting process with Santa Clara County. So, government works really fast, and so it slowed things down just a little bit. But we hope to have the remaining 7 cameras installed within the next month or so. And then I wanted to take you to the transparency portal. Um, but
Yeah,
I'm
Chief, I had trouble with this earlier, so I just pasted the link into the chat and people can
okay,
look at it
perfect.
themselves. It was working last night.
Okay, perfect. All right, let me just pull it up really quick just so I can go over a couple of quick points. So if you can follow the link when you get a chance and take a look, some of the things that are on the link, the transparency portal, I'm sorry, include the number of cameras. It includes our data retention, which is 30 days. It will show what external organizations have access to our cameras, which right now is showing none. And that's part of the reason why I don't have any significant cases to update you on, because we're still working through the process of having outside agencies complete our data sharing form. So we want to make sure that we're following our own policies and procedures before we allow external organizations to have access to our cameras. What I can tell you is in the last 30 days, 239,328 vehicles were detected on our 8 cameras. How many hits do we have in those 30 days? We had 208, and the number of searches that we completed from those hits was 41. We have recovered, or we've gotten some investigative leads on a couple of cases, including a mail theft that occurred last month. I'm sorry, yeah, early last month, right after we started the camera or turned the cameras on. But I'm hoping that we can have a more thorough update on the cameras once we get the last 7 installed and once we are able to share our data with other agencies. Next slide, please. Okay, so I wanted to share this chart with you because there were a lot of there's a lot of interest in how crime looks in our city. And I wanted to go over part 1 crimes. Part 1 crimes are selected because of the seriousness, frequency, and the likelihood of being reported to the police. And those 8 part 1 crimes include homicide, forcible rape, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, larceny or theft, motor vehicle theft, and arson. And if we take a look at the chart, I wanted to bring particular attention to the assault category. I don't really have an explanation as to why we had such a significant percent change in assaults, other than perhaps more assaults were reported to us in 23 than 22. And perhaps coming out of the pandemic, more people were getting out of their homes, and that could maybe be one of the factors that contributed to the increase in assaults. The good news is that we saw around an 8, almost a 9% decrease in our burglaries, almost 10% decrease in our thefts, a 50% decrease in our vehicle thefts, a 100% increase in arsons, although we only had 2 in 2022. And one really important thing I want to point out is the hate crime stats. So it's showing that we had a 40% decrease in hate crimes from year to year, from 22 to 23. But it's important to note that that includes crimes that were actually reported to us. I know after October 7th, we met with a lot of community groups that expressed a lot of concern and fear over their safety, and they expressed an increase in hate incidents. Hate incidents are are hate-related things that don't rise to the level of a crime. And those are not included in these stats. So in reality, that number could be higher, but from what was reported to the Los Altos Police Department, it showed that we had a 40% decrease. We also had an increase in our 911 calls, but that does not include all of the calls for service that we responded to from year to year. Next slide, please. Okay, so on this slide, this shows the crime stats from the years 22 to 23. It shows all the Part 1 crimes in addition to domestic violence. If you look at the total Part 1 crimes, we had 401 Part 1 crimes in 2022 and 363 Part 1 crimes in 2023, which reflects an almost 10% decrease in the number of Part 1 crimes that we responded to. However, we did increase the number of our arrests by a slight number. So I think our continued commitment to being highly visible and proactive in our community is hopefully really making a difference in our crime fighting efforts and public safety efforts. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm super excited to talk about our accomplishments over the last 18 months because we have quite a few. I'll start with our new canine Brock. He's a German Shepherd. He was recently trained with Agent Brian Werner, who is his handler. They have been patrol ready for about a month, but they had to go through some additional schooling. I think they're actually in class right now. But our hope is in the very near future that we can bring Brock to a council meeting to formally introduce him to the community. He may not have much to say, but we still want everyone to meet him. He's a beautiful, beautiful canine. Okay, as far as technology, so we've made some strides there. In addition to our license plate reader cameras, we started an online reporting system called Doors late last year. We also started had a new internal system to increase our accountability. It's called Power DMS, and it gives us the ability to track our employee evaluations, also to track the kudos that they may receive, and it updated our field training process. And recently, this year, we were approved for drones, so that's a very exciting development. As far as wellness is concerned, I actually wish I had a picture of our old gym. Our old gym in the police department was literally a closet that had carpet wall to wall and even on the ceiling. And if you did like this, you could literally touch both walls. It was a very sad little place that had like 3 weights in it, and it wasn't sufficient. And so last year I decommissioned our jail because we weren't using it. And we turned our Sally Port, which is basically the garaged entrance to the jail, into our new fitness facility. So that was a very exciting accomplishment. The POA donated the equipment that's in the gym. So it's a nice place for our employees to stay physically healthy. We also have a wellness coordinator, Sergeant Amy Major, who was recently promoted. We also, for all of our new trainees, before they start the police academy, we try to bring them on early so we can, talk to them about policies and procedures and get them mentally and physically ready for the academy. But one of the ways that we do that is we have them go to a weekly yoga class. And that's not a very traditional thing for police officers to do, but it helps to not only their physical wellness, but it also helps to increase their flexibility and decrease workers' comp injuries. Speaking of workers' comp injuries, I am so happy, let me knock on wood, so happy to report that we have 0 employees out on workers' comp injuries as of this time. We did have an employee last month who was out for a few weeks after his patrol vehicle was rammed by a fleeing suspect. We are very fortunate that the officer suffered very minor injuries and was able to return to work. We did have one person in custody behind that case with another person outstanding that we're trying to follow up on leads on right now. As far as our initiatives, so we are now ABLE certified. ABLE stands for Active Bystandership for Law Enforcement. And it's a system that shows and helps to train our officers on being active bystanders. And so what that means is that in our policy and now by California law, our police officers have a duty to intervene when they are witnessing excessive force. And this is a formalized program where we sent 2 individuals to an actual week-long training to train the rest of our department on what that looks like and how we actually implement being, having that duty to intervene, what that actually looks like. We increased our social media outreach. So if you haven't visited our social media lately, you should definitely check it out. I thought we had a pretty awesome April Fool's Day post. So take a look at that. We also are close to 100% completion of having every employee, even our professional staff, CIT trained, which is crisis intervention training. We also are going to have an anti-bias training for all of our police officers on May 2nd at the community center. And then we did an agency-wide reorganization at the end or beginning of 2023. And that was done mostly to improve our overall efficiency in using the resources that we currently have. All right, so miscellaneous things. Our staffing. So over the last 18 months, I've been trying to recruit like crazy, and it's not just me, so I don't want this to be the me show, but our employees have been recruiting some very outstanding candidates to serve here in our city. We have hired 10 police officers over the last 18 months and 2 professional staff. Now, of those 10, unfortunately, 4 of them are no longer with us, but we do have 2 currently in the police academy, and we have 2, one is a lateral police officer and one is an entry-level police officer who are in the background process. So we're hoping to get closer to full staffing by the end of the year. Right now, we currently have 3 police officer vacancies and 1 communications dispatcher vacancy. We do have someone in background for that position. Excuse me. I spoke about our gym. We, as you know, our police department is an aging facility and has a couple of issues. We did do a couple of updates to the building, though, just to make it more inhabitable. That included doing a minor remodel of our kitchen area. And that kind of goes along with our wellness program, and that our officers and employees, period, are able to have an area where they can take a break, take their lunch break in a nice, clean space. After 26 years of service, our communications dispatch supervisor, Sarah Shearer, will be retiring in July of this year. So that's a big loss for our agency. And as the date gets closer, we will put an announcement out about what we're going to do for her retirement. She's really been a wonderful employee and has made many contributions to our organization and to the city of Los Altos over her 26 years of service. We've had a couple of promotions, including Sarah Shearer to dispatch supervisor. That happened last year. And then we had 2 sergeant promotions. Agent Brooks went from agent to sergeant as of March of this year. And then Agent Major was promoted to sergeant last year. We also promoted or hired a captain, Captain Joe Ledoux, who joined us from the Berkeley Police Department. He's been here since November of last year, and he's been killing it. So he's been a fantastic new addition to the organization, and I hope you all have had a chance to meet him. Lastly, something very exciting to talk about, and that is we've had quite the baby boom here at the Los Altos Police Department. we have 3 employees expecting babies all this month. One is a communications dispatcher. Another is an officer who's expecting his first child later this month. And then another officer who's expecting twin baby girls any day, like any second right now. They will be delivered. So these are the first children for the 2 officers. So you can imagine there's a lot of anxiety on what's to come. So we wish them the best of luck. And my own daughter, actually, my youngest daughter is also pregnant, and she's due in 10 days. So I'm excited to be a Gigi for the second time in a few short days. I actually took her to Scipolini's Pizza last night, hoping that we could use that pizza to induce labor. So if you're not familiar with their pizza, they have something called a Prego pizza that's supposed to make women go into labor. So we'll see how good it works. It was delicious. All right, if you go to the next slide. So one of the, sorry, I messed up on this slide. I didn't move the click to add text, but one of the highlights of my short time here in Los Altos, thank you, Joe, was that I was able to meet the president last month. He was in town for a couple of days. He went to a fundraiser in the hills, and the Los Altos Police Department, we were able to be a part of that protection detail. And it was an honor to be able to protect our leader, but also it was very interesting. It was my first time doing that level of executive protection. And so it was interesting to be a part of that process and to represent our city in that way. So if you can go to the last slide, that pretty much concludes the formal presentation, and I would love to answer any lingering questions that people may have.
Thank you so much, Chief Averiett.
Thank you.
I have a few questions for you before we open it up to the attendees. Is there anything more that you'd like to say about your decision to leave Los Altos?
Yes, if I can pause on answering that for 1 second. I noticed in the chat, Jim Fenton said El Cajon PD has access. I just pulled up the transparency portal and I didn't see that on there, but if it's on there, I apologize if I missed it. That must have just happened within the last few days. So I just wanted to address that. Yeah, I would just like to say that, again, kind of like how I started the presentation, I'm eternally grateful for the gracious welcoming that everyone has given to me in my time here, even for individuals that, you know, we may have disagreed on certain issues. It always came out of a place of respect. And I really appreciated that. I appreciated everyone's perspectives. I appreciate the level of engagement that this community has. It was wonderful to work with so many organizations and individuals. And again, I can't express enough how thankful I am to have worked here. And I want to thank all of you for you know, welcoming me and supporting me.
Thank you for that. We appreciate it. And we appreciate your having been here for almost 2 years, not quite.
Not quite.
You spoke about some of the accomplishments during your tenure as chief of police in Los Altos. What do you consider to be the major accomplishments during that time?
I think the major accomplishments would be reorganizing the department, which also helped to increase the morale. We've been able to retain our current employees that have been here for, let's say, 2 years plus. The employees who have left the organization were trainees, police officer trainees who didn't make it through either the academy or the field training program. So the retention of employees has been a major accomplishment. I also think working collaboratively with the community in bringing the license plate readers to our community, we worked really hard to have a strong and transparent policy. And I would like to thank the members of council for the input that they gave me regarding the policy. It was maybe a painful process at times, but it was a process that needed to happen. And I'm really proud of of the way that we were able to work together to reach our common goal.
Thank you. What, if anything, surprised you after joining the Los Altos Police Department?
Hmm.
Hmm.
That's a great question. You know, I can't really say it was a surprise, but one thing that I have never gotten over or never gotten used to is how beautiful the city is. I literally drive here every day and it's like the birds chirp as soon as I get into Los Altos. Like literally. When I pull into the parking lot of the police department, I hear birds, I see squirrels, there are rabbits. It's so clean and so quiet. And, you know, when I walk from the police department to downtown, people are always so nice and they always stop and say hello. And, you know, I really have enjoyed that. It wasn't a surprise. It's just been something that I don't take for granted and that I have really appreciated in being here.
Well, thank you. That's very nice to hear. What are the highs and lows of your tenure with Los Altos?
Well, I think the highs would be some of the accomplishments that I mentioned. Um, just being able to work with such an incredibly professional group of people here in the police department has been fantastic. I think some of the lows, just learning the job as a police chief in a new community, in a new county, trying to remember people's names. I'm not gonna say that's a low, it was a challenge. But you know, I think the job itself as a police chief is very difficult. It doesn't matter where you work, you know, you have to juggle um, um, the expectations of many different stakeholders. You know, I have to take other people's thoughts and feelings into account when I'm making decisions, because I also realize that every decision I make doesn't just affect the Los Altos Police Department, it affects the greater of policing. And I don't take that responsibility lightly. And so I've worked really hard to try to make sure that our police department is, you know, following our own policies and procedures, that we're, you know, acting professionally within policy, but also being respectful and transparent. Those have always been important, you know, important things to me, and, you know, definitely important things in this agency. And so, um, you know, I would just say the job itself of a police chief has been difficult at times for one reason or another, whether it's personal issues or making a tough decision. Those things, you know, are part of the job.
It said that it takes 6 months to learn a new job. Would you say that's about right, or?
No, I would say it takes about 27 years. I think it's taken my whole career to learn this job, right? And it doesn't matter if I was an officer, sergeant, lieutenant, chief. Every single day there is an opportunity for growth, and every single day I learn something new. Every single day there's some weird challenge that will pop up that I'm like, I've never dealt with this before. So it's a daily learning experience.
Good to know that you're still learning. That's
Still learning, yes.
After a month of the ALPR program with 8 cameras operational, that's just over half, right?
Yes.
Is it too soon to say how effective the program has been?
100%. As I mentioned, we need to wait until we get the remaining cameras up, but also we're working on interagency agreements for sharing data. So right now, the data that we have in our system is data that we have uploaded as far as lost or stolen license plates, stolen vehicles, things like that. So we don't have a lot of data to go on right now. But as we know, you know, crime has no jurisdiction. And so once we're able to get data shared from other agencies, I'm sure that it will increase the number of hits that we're getting on vehicles that are criminally involved. And then in another few months, we can give an update on, you know, the data and any investigative success stories that we've had as a result of the cameras.
Okay, thank you. Has the council adopted new human resources philosophy helped you recruit and retain employees? You talked a bit about recruitment and retention before. And if so, what do you consider to be the most important factors that have helped you?
Definitely it's helped us to retain our employees. You know, we're a small police department. We have 32 sworn police officers and 14 professional staff. And when you compare us to other agencies just in our county, there are some agencies that are larger, they have more special assignments, maybe their pay is higher. Um, and so it's hard for us to compete sometimes with those other agencies. And so you know, council adopting, you know, this new focus on retention has been very successful. We have officers here who have been here, let's say between 2 and 5 years, who you know, have a choice to stay here or to work somewhere else for the reasons that I mentioned, but they choose to stay here. And part of the reason that they choose to stay here is because they love this community. They love the support that this community gives to them. I think the culture of the police department has improved. And I mentioned morale earlier. I think that has a lot to do with it. Our staff loves the family feel, I think, that we have in our police department. So to give you an example, this sounds minor, but this is really a big deal in the big scheme of things because this doesn't happen in a lot of places. Yesterday, we had a spontaneous luncheon for all of our employees on duty. And so one of our officers barbecue tri-tip and we all sat together and we had lunch. And, you know, we're lucky that we were able to do that because there weren't a bunch of calls that they had to go to, but also having that time to sit to get to know each other and to be able to, you know, take a moment to enjoy each other's company and really, like I said, have that family feel, that small town family feel, really goes a long way. And so I think the retention that policies that have been put in place have been very successful, and our renewed focus on wellness for all of our employees has also been a contributor in our retention.
Thank you. How can the community best support the new chief of police, whoever that might be? We don't know at this point. And if residents see the approach the chief is taking differently, what's the most positive, supportive, and helpful way to express their point of view?
I think the way that you can support the new chief is exactly what you did for me. A lot of people on this Zoom reached out to me via email my first couple of weeks on the job, and we met for coffee. We met in my office, and some people brought coffee. I think those interactions go a long way, and also it gives the chief an idea of you know, the vibe of the community and what the community wants and needs and how the community wants its police department to police. And so I think just being supportive in that way, being open to meeting the chief, um, and for individuals who may disagree with some initiative the chief is going to bring, or you know, some policy that they may not agree with. Again, I think it comes back to having conversations, respectful conversations, whether that's in person, whether that's people showing up to council and commenting, you know, during public comment. I think all of those things help any chief to fully understand the different points of view and different perspectives of any issue. And so I think those things, as long as everyone continues to do those things, I'm sure that the next chief will appreciate all of that.
Thank you for that. Do you have any closing thoughts or remarks?
Yes, so this is the part where I said no one can make me cry because I've been very emotional the last few weeks. As I'm on the countdown to departing, my last workday will be April 17th, and then my last day of employment will be April 21st. I just, again, want to thank everyone for your support, for your commitment to civic engagement, for your kindness, for your compassion, because I think in our world, we're missing a lot of compassion, unfortunately. And of course, we see that in our jobs as police officers. And so I just hope that everyone continues in that pathway to, respectfully agree to disagree with each other when that happens, but also, just please continue to support the Los Altos Police Department. There are some incredible women and men that work here who serve every day. It can sometimes be a thankless job, and they do so without complaining. They do so because they love to come to work, because they love to serve in this community. And so I just want to thank all of you again for everything that you've done for me, and I wish everyone luck in the future, and I really wish the incoming chief success and prosperity when she or he begins their tenure in a few months.
Thank you so much for a great conversation, Chief.
Thank you.
I'd like now to open it up to the attendees for questions. Please raise your virtual hand, as Dennis Young has already done, and I'll call on you. Remember, one question per person and no speeches, please.
My turn?
Your turn, Dennis.
Okay. Chief, at one point, well, thank you for being here. At one point, there was discussion about the building that the city owns in Loyola Corners becoming a substation. Can you comment on that?
Yes, that facility is 999 Fremont. Unfortunately, there have been a series of delays on the project. And I can't go into specifics because I'm not the project manager on it. I just know we had a series of delays that significantly slowed down the progress of building that building out. We actually just had a meeting about it yesterday, and we anticipate it being completed within the next 4 to 6 months. So that's exciting news because it gives our officers the ability to take breaks when they need to without coming all the way back to the station, but also it gives them a chance to stay, in that part of town and be highly visible, just to increase our visibility, I'll say, in that part of the city. Because a lot of times they have to come back to the station to write the reports, or like I said, to take a break. And so getting that facility up and running as a substation was critically important. But like I said, we had some setbacks. So we hope to have it open very, very soon. Thank you for the question.
Do we have any other questions for the chief? Okay, Kavita, you're up.
Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge the chief in a time where I think relationships with police departments can be very polarizing and fraught. What I've seen Chief Averiett do since she came in is build community. And I just want to acknowledge that and thank her for that and wish her all the best.
Thank you, Kavita. Okay, Gary.
Thank you, Chief, for the presentation. I'm curious, what are your thoughts about the Neighborhood Watch program?
I think Neighborhood Watch is a very important program. At previous agencies that I was at, they had very robust Neighborhood Watch programs. And over the years here in Los Altos, that program is kind of fallen by the wayside because of staffing and leadership changes. And so I think with our two captains that we have here, they've been working on it for a couple of months and seeing how we can bring the program back. And hopefully we can revive Neighborhood Watch, because I definitely see the value in it. And I think, having someone kind of dedicated to being the liaison for the community to get the program back up will be great.
Yeah, I agree. That's part of building strong neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Freddie, next. You're muted, Freddie.
Thank you. Chief Averiett, I just want to thank you so much. It's been such a wonderful experience having you as our chief. And I also wanted to ask if it is in the future for having a police officer, it was a sergeant who used to perform this service for the community, who would come to your home and do a safety audit looking for how your home could be made more crime-proof, essentially. I had that experience after Katie Krause, Captain Krause, and another officer who was a sergeant and a detective spoke to my neighborhood. We had a huge neighborhood meeting, and they spoke about all the different things that we could do, but then they offered this service and I took them up on it. He spent an hour in my home going over all the different things that I could do, or that my husband and I could do, to make our house more crime-proof. And we implemented every single suggestion he had. It was, I thought, a terrific service. And I understand that that was no longer being offered. And I wondered if you recommend we change that.
Thank you so much, first of all, Freddie, for your comments. And Kavita, thank you very much for your comments as well. Yes, so that is called Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design, or CPTED. And so it's a fantastic program. I think it kind of goes hand in hand with the Neighborhood Watch, right?
Yeah.
That program kind of fell by the wayside because of staffing. When I first arrived at Los Altos PD, I think we had 8 police officer vacancies. And you can imagine, for such a small agency that only has 32 police officers, that was pretty devastating. So we had to shut down some of our special assignments, and some of our, things like CPTED, we weren't able to perform any longer. I think it's a very necessary program. I think we can absolutely get that program back. We are in the middle of our budget process right now. And so we are going to see if we can get a new position. And those are some of the things that we're trying to wrap into this new position. Because, at the end of the day, we don't want to just respond to crime, right? We want to be proactive, and we want to help our community be proactive by coming to your home and giving you suggestions on how you can kind of fortify your own home so that you're not a victim of crime. And so I hope that, again, that program as well in the near future will be able to be brought back to the community, because it's an important resource.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're on mute, Marie.
We have time for a couple of more questions. If anybody has them, please let me know now. Okay, Gary, go for it. You're muted, Gary.
Thank you. I noticed that when you get a hot list hit, it results in about 20% searches. Is that a low in your opinion?
I wouldn't say it's a low. I think because we're so new to the technology, we did go through, all of our employees that have access to the system did go through a training process before they were granted access to the system. You have to also remember that at any given time, we only have between 3 and 4 officers on duty. So sometimes we get hits and our officers can't follow up on them because they're already on a different call for service, right? So just because that's the only number of follow-ups that we've done doesn't mean that it wasn't from a lack of trying, right? I wouldn't consider it low. I think it's just, as we increase our staffing and as we increase the number of cameras, we're going to get more hits. And so what we try to do is when we can, we follow up on the hits that we're able to get to. So I think that number is going to increase over the next few months as we install more cameras. And I forgot to mention earlier, we have 2 police officers in training right now who are close to completing the field training program. And so having those 2 additional staff members, available is also going to make a difference.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last question, if anyone has one. If not, I have a couple of announcements. Okay, seeing none. Our next meeting will be on Friday, April 19th from 8:30 to 9:30, again via Zoom. Please join us for a discussion entitled A Strong Town's Vision for Los Altos with John Pattison and Norm Van Eden Petersman from Strong Towns. If you'd like to be added to the LACC mailing list, please send an email to info@losaltoscommunitycoalition.org. This email is posted in chat for your convenience. And a big thank you to the Los Altos Mountain View Community Foundation for providing LACC with financial and in-kind support. Thank you once again, Chief Averiett, for a great discussion today. And we'll look forward to seeing you all in 2 weeks.